how many floppy drives can you run on a single computer? We got 1 and 2 right here. That's going to be the standard amount that's supported. But with the power of this card right here, we'll be able to run all 4 of these drives that you see at the same time. Now, I will have to go into the BIOS and reconfigure some stuff real quick because I do not have a CMOS battery installed on this board. But once that is over, it should be relatively smooth sailing. And also I have to hold this phone by hand because I do not have enough tripods. I am currently recording the drives with this as well, and that's taking up the tripod right now. Anyway, let's just go ahead and reconfigure stuff. I'll try and keep this as stable as I can, but the colors are already very washed out. So anyway, the reason why I'm configuring both drive A and B as not installed is because the BIOS built into this card, which is actually currently on the non-working XT-FDC card, is what's going to be handling everything instead of the system ROM. And then I'm going to just real quickly configure the hard drive. That's going to be not 890, 820, 6, and 17. And then I can just hit S to reboot. There we go. And now you'll be able to also see, while the system is starting up, that it'll only initialize 2 of the 4 drives without anything else. It's currently just using the system ROM at the moment. And it is only after we enter the GSI BIOS that we'll be able to do anything. So right now, you can see right here, GSI Model 21 Universal Diskette BIOS version 2.05. That is the option ROM that this card uses in order to allow the board to support all 4 floppy drives as well as hard drive configuration. Granted, the hard drive configuration is a lot less advanced than the floppy configuration, which we will take a look at right now. Anyway, it says, do you want to change settings? We'll go ahead and type yes, just so then I can show you how it looks and try and keep the camera as least shaky as possible. Anyway, choose drive A is the drive with your light on your choice. Currently, because this is not the drive that I have a disk in, it's this drive instead, I will want to reconfigure my drive, and thankfully this supports drive reordering. And so now I can select this as my drive A instead. And I just enter a type, which I'll just select 1 for 360K. And now this will become my drive B. So I've swapped these 2 drives in software. And drive 3 and 4 are both just 1.44 megabyte drives. So I'll just configure those as that. Save my choices, yes. And you can see that this is actually the exact same configuration that this had originally before I started the video. And now we just wait for the system to reboot. And once again, the system BIOS continues to treat the 2 drives as a different ordering. But we don't have to worry about that because now, once the BIOS gets past the prompt to change the settings if you want, it'll start booting on its own. And you can see now it's selected what we chose to be our drive A to boot. Gotta love those floppy drive sounds. Okay, I'll just... And there we go. We have our drive A booted. Let's try and insert another disc while still holding the camera in one hand. It's a little bit hard to do. Okay, So this should be our drive B. If we type dir, we should be able to read off of it as well. And there we go, that's our drive B. And I think this one that I just pushed in should be our drive C. Oh wait, no, our drive C is the hard drive. Oops. Okay, so that means that the next floppy drive is drive D instead. Which one is it? Let's see. Yep, okay, that's our drive D. And yeah, that's all the files there. You can see right down there, gs21.bin. That's the BIOS file that I had to flash onto the XT-FDC because I think I already mentioned this early in the video, but I do not remember already. But the ROM chip on the card itself is toast, so I have to use a separate card as a ROM card, and that means I'm using my XT-FDC that does not work as a ROM card. Anyway, we'll move on to our drive E now. And you can see right there, it's loading as well, and there's our files. And so, yeah, boots, let's do Control-Alt-Delete, and we will once again reorder the drives. And so we'll instead boot off this drive, which I also have DOS 5 on. Okay, so I'll just hit Insert. Oh, and I might as well show off what the hard drive configuration looks like. It's basically auto configuration, but what it's really doing is just pulling the values straight off of the CMOS settings themselves. So there's not really all that much that you can configure, to my knowledge. So we'll just press the key to restart, and next up we'll be reordering the floppy drives again. This time, instead of just swapping what would have been our A and B drives, we're going to be swapping in what is currently our D drive to become our new A drive. And once again, we have to wait for it to initialize those drives with the normal BIOS. And now we hit Insert, F to reconfigure, Y to change settings. So no, that is not our preferred drive, neither is that, but this is our preferred drive, and we will select drive type 4, and now we can just reconfigure the rest. And there we go, everything is reconfigured, so we'll just hit Y to save our settings, which saves directly to the ROM itself, and I think that might be why the original ROM ended up dying. And now it'll reboot. So now we should be seeing this drive light up when it's time to boot, because we've set that drive as our drive A. Just gotta wait. Okay, we hit F1 now, and this time we do not press Insert to reconfigure the drives. And there we go. That drive has lit up, and now we are booting off of it. It is a little bit on the slow side, though. Just wait. Okay, you can probably hear the drive running now. And yeah, there we go. Our drive A has booted. There's all the files on it. And now, our new drive D should be the 360K drive, if I remember correctly. Yep, it is. Okay, we can just do a quick dir on that. And there's our files there again. And we can copy and delete files, so let's just delete gs21.bin on here. Oh, I forgot a space. There we go. And there we go, our file is deleted. It's not there anymore. And if we go back to our C drive, we can still see everything there as well. Ta-da! And yeah, that's basically it for this video. It's just a quick little thing. I guess I'll cut over to a quick just overview of the card itself and the hardware that I was using. Alrighty, and this is the hardware that it uses. So this is the main controller card. You can see right here the actual ROM chip that the BIOS is supposed to be stored on. The model number is the 1533-21-03-6, though the actual model name is the Model 21 by GSI. Though, interestingly enough, you don't actually see any of that GSI branding anywhere on the card, except for in the BIOS itself, which, funnily enough, I'm using a non-functional XT-FDC card that I assembled a while back, specifically so that then I can put the GSI BIOS on its ROM right here. Because, once again, I've mentioned this before already, this chip does not work. But on this card, I do not have any working controller chips to go in this socket. And what's even more funny is that the controller chip in this can work in this. And so now I just have two floppy controllers that do the exact same thing, except one I built myself and does not work, and the other relies on my non-functioning card in order to work properly. And yeah, it's just kind of weird. Anyway, looking closer at this card, you can see, as soon as this focuses, we have a supposedly regular, air quotes, connector here, and a 2.88 connector. Now this is specifically so that then you can use 2.88 megabyte floppy drives, which kind of, like, I guess gained a foothold to an extent, but really weren't all that popular at all. And obviously they died out quickly, otherwise you would have heard more about them by now. And over here we just have a single IDE channel, so you can have two hard drives on that. And each one of these floppy channels supports 2 drives each, and that makes it, 4 drives. And you can see those two floppy connectors on this card as well in the background. And then these jumpers right here are just for configuring the address that the ROM appears at. And yeah, that's it for this video. I really didn't have all that much preparation done for it, honestly. Oh, real quick, you can also tell that the IDE portion of this card is the only part that uses the 16-bit portion of the ISA bus. If you wanted to just use it as a plain floppy controller, there it is. Which more or less matches what the XT-FDC looks like as well, so yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out. See ya.